I'm Brad Winters, your Lake County Commissioner. Just a point out, would you please silence or shut off your cell phones? We'd appreciate that at this time as we go through this ceremony today. What a beautiful day. I'm here to welcome everybody here. Can you hear me in the back very well?
Get in the mic.
That's all the volume we've got. Does that help any?
There you go.
Okay, so anybody speaks after me, get close to the mic. What an honorable day today to be able to come here on such a beautiful day and have the Ellis family here. Truly, this is home for their family, for Jessica. Lake County is truly humbled and honored for them to select Lake County to put the sign that represents their child, Jessica Ellis. Some of the things that I'd sort of like to mention is just a short time ago, I was invited by Steve Ellis to go to breakfast with him. What an honor and how humbling it was to sit down with the father of this child, of Jessica, hear the stories, the pride, the things that came forward, to see a dad sit there and talk openly with me. I left there with a new thought in life of how fortunate I am, but also how fortunate their family is to have had Jessica for the time they've had. The professionalism that Linda and Steve brought to Lake County when they was here was unbelievable. The representation here was just wonderful. That flowed right on through to their daughter, through her time during the service, while she's in the service. What I've read and what I was told about how she was committed to our country and to her buddies that she served with is just unbelievable. So today, we need to have this as an honorable day, a day of respect for the family, a day of respect for Jessica. So the Board of County Commissioners has got a small token for the family of the Ellises. We had a flag flown over the courthouse, and the citizens of Lake County would like to present that flag to the Ellis family in the memory of their daughter. So I'm going to grab that right now. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. With that, I'd like to invite Mayor Ray Turner to come up and say a few words.
Thank you. On the behalf of the town of Lakeview, I would really am glad that everybody showed up for this, and it's an honor to have the Ellis family choose Lakeview and Lake County to honor Jessica. So I'm just tickled to see everybody here. I would like to introduce to Charlie Pike, who is our Veteran Service Officer for Lakeview.
Thank you very much. Some of you know me, some of you don't. I'm Charles Pike, Lake County Veteran Service Officer and Iraq War veteran. I would like to introduce VFW Post 4070 to post the colors and the Pledge of Allegiance.
Color guard, rise. Hit. Put. Left. Hey. Forward. March. Halt. Color guard, right, face. Please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. Ready? Salute! I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Two. And salute. Ready? Two.
Thank you very much.
Left. Hey.
That was Hector the Hero, played
Mark.
with the bagpipes by John Pearson. Go ahead and take your seats.
Hold. You seated.
To start this off, there's many people we need to recognize. Most people do this at the end, but sometimes it's done at the beginning. Just so when people come up and they talk, or you look at your neighbors, people beside you, and people you know what they've done. In recognition of all the support for the Ellis family and the fallen loved one, we have Representative, Oregon 2nd District, Congressman Greg Walden, Senate District 28, Senator Dennis Lithcomb, House District 56, Representative E. Werner Reske, Lake County Commissioners Brad Winters, Dan Schown, Ken Kessner, Lakeview Mayor and Town Council, Ray Turner, U.S. Forest Service, Bureau of Land Management, Oregon Department of Transportation, Jared Johnson, Marie Kennedy, Todd LaFrance, Sean McKnight, and many more for working with us putting these signs up. Chairman, Bend Heroes Foundation, Dick Tobiasen. Dick Tobiasen, Vietnam veteran, retired Army Lieutenant Colonel, member of VFW Post 4108, chairman of the Bend Heroes Foundation. He is the driving force dedicating the highways of Oregon to wartime veterans. American Legion Post 63, Ron Copeland. Ron Copeland, Navy, Vietnam vet, is the commander of American Legion Post 63 in Burns. He has brought a few of the members with himself, including himself, and also was part of the Legion Riders or Legion Riders to Jessica's event. Ron hosted the World War I Veterans Memorial Highway Sign dedication in Burns. Veteran Foreign Wars Post 4070 Commander Dave Swartz and members. Combat Veterans Motorcycle Association 296 Commander Nokawat Herrera and the members. Military Honors on bagpipes, John Pearson. What a wonderful job. Lake County School District, number 7. Lakeview City Police. Lake County Sheriffs. Elks Lodge 1536. Lakeview Chamber of Commerce. KORV 93.5 The Goose. Lake County Examiner. Bobby Steninger. Lake County Employees. Dave Berman, Jr., Gabriel, Jeremy Winters. They're the ones that are going to be cooking some hamburgers and hot dogs for you today. Buddy Ness, Community Service Correction Leader. They did the setup and the tear down. I actually had 4 pages. That's how much we support veterans in Lake County. Today, we are honored to have Highway 140 selected by the Gold Star family and place a fallen hero memorial highway sign. And to those that drive across our county and see that Lake County cares. U.S. Army Corporal Jessica Ann Ellis. Born June 26, 1983. Graduated from Lakeview High. She lettered in cross country and track. During the school year, she participated with the swim team and dance. Very well known in the community. Jessica graduated from Central Oregon Community College in Bend, Oregon. While in college, she worked 3 summers as a U.S. Forest Service firefighter. Jessica enlisted in the service in 2004 and assigned with the 101st Airborne Division, Fort Campbell, Kentucky, and was a combat medic. Jessica made the ultimate sacrifice in Iraq. Died May 11, 2008. She was laid to rest at Arlington National Cemetery. For the invocation, we have Father Hop.
Please, you can remain seated during the invocation if you have a chair. God, our Heavenly Father, we ask you to be with us this morning as we celebrate the life and accomplishments of Jessica. One thing brings us together today, Lord. That is love. Love for Jessica, love for our country. Lord, it truly amazes me how many people give of their time and their energy to serve others. The military, police, firefighters, medics, so on. It amazes me more, Lord, when those who serve give their very life for us. It amazes me more than that when one, like Jessica, gave her life healing and bringing comfort to others. We have a phrase on our coin, "In God we trust." We trust, Lord, that because of her unselfish love for others, you, God, have taken her into your heavenly home. Finally, today has to be more than celebrating a sign. That's a great thing we're doing. But that's celebrating something in the past. When we leave today, when we go home, we can't go home unchanged. We have to let the values, the unselfishness, the love of Jessica continue in our own lives. God, we ask you finally to please thank and reward Jessica's parents, Steve and Linda, family, for the gift of this woman to us. We ask this in Jesus' name. Amen. Amen.
Thank you very much. Some of you wonder why we did this at this park. It's a special chosen place. The reason is because Jessica was on the on the swim team. We have the pool. You look behind you and you have the firefighting rigs where she served as a firefighter. She loved the park. She would play here all the time. And we have the coach of cross country and track here in the park today with us. Memories will always be here. Dick Tobiason. Congressman Walden's office letter.
Thank you, Charlie. Can you hear me better without the mic?
No.
No? How's this? Is any better?
Better.
Okay. I'm not good at hearing anyhow.
This is a letter from Congressman Greg Walden, who's been a fabulous supporter of veterans and a dear friend on our honor flight trips to Washington, D.C. He welcomes us with a great ceremony at the World War II Veterans Memorial here in D.C. And he presents each World War II veteran a flag flown over the U.S. Capitol and a congressional record honoring their service. So Greg Walden can't be here today, so he asked me to read this letter. I will see him Tuesday at lunch in Bend, and I will pass on the results of this meeting, which is not only patriotic, but it's historic. This is the first woman veteran in Oregon honored as we are doing today. So this letter is to Steve and Linda Ellis. I regret that I cannot join you and Linda as the state of Oregon dedicates Highway 140 as the Fallen Hero Memorial Highway in honor of your beloved daughter and a true American hero, Army Corporal Jessica A. Ellis. It is hard to believe that it's been over 9 years since her tragic loss in Baghdad, Iraq on May 11, 2008. I will never forget attending her service in Baker City just a few days later. The outpouring of love and respect for her and her family by the community was overwhelming. I think you could say the same for here in Lakeview today. Everyone who gathered there that day was reminded of what an incredibly kind, caring, and ebullient person she was. These individual qualities made her a devoted Army medic and soldier, daughter, sister, and friend. It is for these reasons that we as Oregonians see fit to memorialize her along a lonely stretch of highway in the Oregon outback she knew so well. Now, many travelers along Highway 140 may not know who Jessica was, but it is my sincere hope that upon seeing those markers, many will take the time to find out more about her. About how Jessica was a soldier's soldier and wanted to be there for her buddies. And you're going to hear that theme all day today about being with her buddies. And she was right up until the very end protecting them so they could be there to protect us. She truly was the embodiment of the Army medical motto, non pro nobis sed aliis, not for ourselves, but for others. May God bless and comfort you, Linda, Cameron, Mandy, and the entire Ellis family. May God bless and keep Jessica in her eternal rest. And may every American be forever grateful for her and inspired by Jessica's service and sacrifices to our nation. Mylene and I will continue to keep you in our hearts and prayers. Sincerely, Greg Walden, Member of Congress. Charlie?
Thank you, Dick.
The original's in the mail.
Thank you. Thank you. Next we have Senate District 28, Senator Dennis Linthicum.
Thank you, Charlie. I'd like to thank all of you for being here. We passed a House and Senate resolution. It was a concurrent resolution 27. We remember doing that on the floor. I never met Jessica. I never knew her in life. But when you read about her, she is truly an admirable character. The two words that struck in my mind were indomitable and dauntless. Two words that, described her life. She grew up here in Lakeview, cut her teeth in high school, worked for the Forest Service on days like today where the weather conditions are unstable, where there's lines that need to be cut for containing fires, where there's jobs that need to be done. And then she joined the military and gave her life to the military. And we're not here because she died. We're here today because of her life. We're here today because of the spirit that she brought to our communities, to her own family, to her friends and community. This group here today is why we're here. The signs are one thing, The signs are something you may or may not notice up and down the highway, but I'll tell you what you will remember. You will remember lives of individuals. You will remember us as the flesh and blood of this world, as the hearts and souls of a community. So I'm thankful to each of you who took the time to come here today to participate in this celebration of a great life, a healthy relationship between fathers and daughters and mothers and daughters and families. This is why we're here on planet Earth. We're here to share with each other, to give, and to do our best to create community. We are social beings, and the best thing we can contribute to one another is this thing we call life. And I think what Jessica brought to the story more than anything was that spirit. Volunteering, being a part of the medic team, caring about her friends in the service as well as her friends here in Lakeview and in the Forest Service and firefighting equipment. Everything she did was about those issues, whether it was enjoying family time, or whether it was enjoying her animals, or whether it was fighting for her country. She is clearly a fabulous example for us and our children and grandchildren. So thank you, Steve and Linda, for being here. Thank you for participating. And I hope this ceremony brings as much honor and warmth to your heart as it does to everybody else. Thank you.
I have a letter here. United States Department of Interior. On behalf of the United States Bureau of Land Management, thank you for the opportunity to recognize the Gold Star Ellis family and join in honoring the courage, commitment, and contributions of Corporal Jessica Ellis through today's unveiling ceremony. Many have spoken and will continue to speak volumes about Jessica's life, contributions, and ultimate sacrifice. To us, today's ceremony highlights one of Jessica's many selfless, heroic traits, her commitment to public service. This, no doubt, grew from her family, especially lifelong dedication of her parents. Jessica's mom, Linda, has provided nursing care to rural communities in Oregon for decades. Her dad, Steve Ellis, directed public land management policy for the BLM and Forest Service here in Lakeview, throughout Oregon and the Pacific Northwest, and ultimately in Washington, D.C. as the deputy director for the entire BLM. Following their example, Jessica served as a dedicated and skilled wildland firefighter for the Fremont National Forest prior to her military career. With today's ceremony, Jessica's public service lives on. For generations to come, visitors to public lands along this fallen hero Memorial Highway will be reminded as they hike, camp, and fish in the BLM Lakeview District and the Fremont Wainema National Forest, of Jessica and her commitment to the landscape she knew, loved, and protected. Our fallen heroes will not be forgotten, and through highway designations like this one, their names will continue to serve all Americans as we travel to and from work and play. We cannot think of more fitting legacy to celebrate Jessica's connection to these lands and to commemorate her dedication to public service. On behalf of the BLM Oregon Washington family, I extend my heartfelt gratitude to Jessica, the Ellis family, and everyone involved in making this happen. Sincerely, Jamie E. Connell, Bureau of Land Management State Director for Oregon and Washington. And for Odin. Can you hear me?
Nope.
Can you hear me now? And for ODOT, we have Jared Johnson, Oregon Department of Transportation.
Hello. I'm truly honored to be able to be here and represent ODOT. This sign, I think, will serve as a lasting reminder of the service that was provided by this fallen hero. And I think for me, it sums it up that I'm just truly appreciative of that service. Thank you for your time.
And for the Memorial Highway signs, we have Dick Tobiasen.
Charlie, I'm going to need your help. Well, this is this working? Okay, now it is. Okay, so let's talk about veterans in general. 44 million Americans have worn the uniform of the armed forces since our country was founded. There are 22 million of us living today, including all these gentlemen here. Anybody else who's a veteran, put your hand up, please. Look at them. They're all over. Thank you. So in the United States, 1 out of every 15 men, women, and children is a veteran. And in Oregon, that's 1 out of every 13 and a half. I don't know where the half is, but 1 out of every 13 men, women, and children in Oregon's are veterans. We make up the largest single group of in our society. The only group that comes close is public employees at the city, county, state, and federal level, and they're overtaking us because veterans' population is declining. I think last year was the first year that there was equal numbers. But 1.1 million veterans have died for this country. And it's almost like we know Jessica from so much we know about her. It's almost like we know her. And she's one of them who's willing to give up her life to save others. Right there in the heat of battle to save someone else. That's the job of a medic, and that's why she was called Doc Ellis. So today we honor Oregon's lost 143 veterans in Iraq and Afghanistan. 3 of them are women. Jessica is the first one to be so honored with a Fallen Hero Memorial Highway sign. And we thank you, Steve and Linda Ellis, for letting us help you get this along here, and Representative Breschke. And Senator Lithicum, I was there when we voted. But what are the other ways that we honor Jessica besides a highway sign? So over here on the left, Charlie's going to show some posters. These are pictures I've collected over the years that I've known Steve and Linda, which is 2008 is when we first met. So the first one, and you can look at these afterwards, they're too small for you to see there, but come up and look at them afterwards. The first one there is Arlington National Cemetery Section 60, which is reserved for our fallen veterans from Iraq and Afghanistan. The next picture is me putting a wreath on her grave during Wreaths Across America, which is a national program. Last year we put down 1.1 million wreaths across the United States, and I'm going to talk about that more. But because my brother is buried nearby Jessica, and another veteran from Bend is buried there, that we put a wreath on Jessica's grave, and sometimes my brothers and sister-in-law meet Steve there. So they said to say hello to you today, and they just enjoy doing that. And my brothers and I are all in our 80s, so we'll find a way to carry it on, though. But take a look at these 2 flags on the left. You see Jessica's flag there on a pole with her name with gold stars. That's one of 2 flags that we fly in Bend at Bend Heroes Memorial and at we call Honor Court. The flag on the right is a Purple Heart flag because Jessica obviously earned a Purple Heart. The next photo on the right, the top photo on the right there is at a place that many people do not know about. If you ever go to Washington, please put it on your list. It's the Women in Military Service for America, WIMSA, and Jessica is honored there, and you can see her display. In the lower left is a quilt with the names of all the women veterans from the United States who were killed in combat. And guess whose name is in the center? Jessica's. And that quilt was made in Morrow, Oregon. The right bottom photograph is Jessica enrolled in the WIMSA's enrollment program. It's a great thing. If you know a woman veteran who served our nation from World War I on, I think you would want to help enroll her. Next poster, Charlie. All these posters go to you, Steve, so you can cut them off the board and take them home, or you can take the posters. The next one, now we're in Oregon. The upper left-hand corner is a memorial for Afghan and Iraq veterans, and I was there the day that you were there, Steve and Linda, to unveil Jessica's name, and you can see her name in the center picture at the top. And on the right is the granite memorial in Bend, Oregon, that I built, that has the names of 111 veterans from Bend who lost their lives from World War I to the present, and Jessica's name is there with 4 other young veterans. The lower left are bricks that have engraved names that we used to raise funds to build that memorial. And isn't it interesting that Steve would make sure that his dad, Fred, who also was an Army corporal but in World War II, his brick is next to Jessica's brick. Isn't that marvelous? And on the right bottom, you'll see flags on the bridge, Veterans Memorial Bridge, including that flag right there. Next poster. The upper left picture is Jessica's display we built at Central Oregon Community College, where she graduated with an Associate of Arts degree. The next, center picture is the same display at the Deschutes Historical Museum in Bend, where Steve and I assembled all of Jessica's belongings and put them there. Now they're at WIMSA. So this has been a traveling display from Bend to Washington. The upper right-hand corner is a picture of poster boards with the names of every veteran from Iraq and Afghanistan who was killed from the United States, almost 7,000. We read every one of those names in Bend on Memorial Day every day. We've been doing it for 10 years. Of course, there's Jessica's name in the lower left-hand corner with a red star. And the only people allowed to touch that particular board are kids, 3 children who are members of a family that helps us post flags. So they're the only ones allowed to touch Jessica's flags, as well as Ramona Newman. The right one is an interesting thing, and if anybody here owns a propane truck in Lakeview, you might want to do this. Central Electric Co-op asked me if we could put pictures of Bob Maxwell. Now, Bob Maxwell is the oldest living Medal of Honor recipient in the United States. I'm his agent. He lives in Bend. Steve has met him several times. And they said, could we put Bob's picture on the door? And I said, no. He can never be by himself. He would never want to be honored by himself. I said, why don't we honor the 4 veterans from Bend who were killed in Iraq and Afghanistan on the truck also? So we did. And so the front left fender has pictures of the 4 veterans, including Jessica. Those pictures have since had the names put on them. But if you got a propane truck that needs to honor veterans, we can do it this way. It's called a military tribute truck. Next poster, please. And that mention is Linda's favorite picture of Jessica in that frame right beside Charlie. The upper left-hand corner is a picture of a granite memorial in Central Point, Oregon, which has the names of every veteran from Oregon that was killed in combat, all 6,022 names. So Jessica's name is there listed under the Iraq-Afghanistan war under the Army panel. The upper right 2 pictures are when I escorted Steve and Linda at the Volcanoes baseball game, the 10th annual patriotic tribute to veterans, and it featured 8 veterans from Iraq and Afghanistan and their parents. So I escorted Steve and Linda from third base to home plate. And so outside of the stadium, there are these 2 large posters. One of them shows, you can see there a big blue picture, and it's got the pictures of the veterans we honored that night. Guess who's in the very center? Jessica. Who else would it be? In the lower left-hand picture is the pictures of 143 Oregonians who lost their lives, who dedicated their lives to our country in Iraq and Afghanistan. So I'm going to talk about them a little later. In the lower right is the last of 5 veterans highways that I've got laws passed to put signs on highways. So the World War I highway's right here, 395, right? Charlie helped me do that. Where's Todd LaFrance? Todd LaFrance from ODOT. He's the guy that planted all these signs that I'm talking about from ODOT Region 4, and he's going to be installing Jessica's sign this afternoon when we're through with the ceremony. So Todd, put your hand up so people can see you. He's been my friend for 7 years putting up signs, and I thank you for your dedication to the project, even working days off to help us. Thank you, Todd LaFrance. So when we did the highway signs, why would we wait until all the Iraq and Afghanistan veterans are gone and put up signs to honor them? They're still serving, so let's do it now. And so I was able to get Representative John Huffman to agree that I could put 3 highways in one bill, which has never been done before. So now every highway in Oregon is a veterans highway. World War I, right here, World War II, Korea, Vietnam, Persian Gulf, Afghanistan, and Iraq. And that's U.S. Highway 101. So Jessica's comrades have the best highway in Oregon, the Oregon coast. 85,000 Oregonians served in that war. 143 lost their lives. Is that the last poster? I got one more chart. While Charlie's fetching that last thing, I'm going to show you a map of that one. That's good enough. It's not my best one, but so these are the 5 veterans highways, but we're not through. So the legislature just passed my 6th highway bill, which is to designate all Highway 20 from Newport to Idaho as the Oregon Medal of Honor Highway. It's the first one of its kind in the United States, and it honors Oregon's 26 Medal of Honor recipients who served in the Civil War to Vietnam. Okay, Charlie, I got a couple more things down there. So I'm going to give Steve, could I have that flag right there, that photo flag? So this flag, Steve and Linda, is identical to the flag that we fly in Bend. And so I asked Greg Walden to fly a flag over the U.S. Capitol for Jessica for today. So here it is. Could I have a representative from Ron Copeland and the post commander from VFW? Could you come over here and present that to Steve Ellis? And would you please unfold it, and then so we can see Jessica's name? You can never have too many flags, Steve. I bought 800 flags from Greg Walden, 300 for Bend and 500 for our Honor Flight veterans. And this is Jessica's flag. It's identical to the 2 we fly in Bend, and this is for you to fly wherever you like. Everybody see that okay?
See her name.
All right. Thank you. And they will fold it properly. So all those pictures you just saw on those poster boards, plus a lot more, that's only half, are on this flash drive for you, Steve.
That's cool.
It's a great honor for us older veterans to honor the young veterans. That's our job, and we know how to do it. And the parents, who mostly are civilians who don't know about things like Fallen Heroes Memorial Highway, it's our job to bring it to their attention and to do whatever they want to do. We're delighted that you wanted to do this, Steve and Linda. So what other things can you do in your own community? Well, you saw that picture. A properly folded flag.
Salute. And salute. Ready? Two.
Thank you. Isn't it great to see the VFW American Legion working together? I'm a member of both of them. So what are the things you can do? One of the pictures you saw was Jessica's grave with a wreath on it. That's called Wreaths Across America. So we've been doing that in Bend. Bob Max and I started that 9 years ago. And now we've got 6 other cities in Central Oregon. So why wouldn't you start a program here in Lakeview or Burns? But Ron already runs a program like that. But why wouldn't we do that in more cities to honor our veterans? We put flags on their graves on Memorial Day. Why wouldn't we put a Christmas wreath on their grave on Wreaths Across America? 1.1 million last year. So that's something you can do in your community. And I have the proclamation for Bend that I wrote for the mayor of Bend to declare Bend a Wreaths Across America city. So if someone wants that, I can give you that. The other thing we did in Bend is we have a Gold Star Mother's Day and Families Day. So we have a proclamation for that, and then at that memorial, we put the flags up. If we present the mothers, if Linda and you were there, Linda would get a rose, a red rose, so we do that. Charlie, bring up that Purple Heart thing. So I'm a Purple Heart recipient, and so my job is to get the cities in Central Oregon to become Purple Heart cities, and we've done that. Bend, Sisters, Redmond, Lapine, Prineville, and so we put up 16 of these signs. That's only a half scale, and I understand Charlie is working with the mayor to make Lakeview a Purple Heart city sign. So Todd LaFrance is the guy who puts the signs up, and Todd's boss has approval authority to approve that sign for Lakeview. All you have to do is collect some money, and Todd will bring the signs down here. So Charlie, I'm giving that to you. That's half scale. And then the other thing you can do is to, this is something that parents aren't aware of. The Purple Heart people have a website called the National Purple Heart Hall of Honor, and you can enroll anybody in there who has a Purple Heart. But when a veteran dies, you don't get a DD 214 discharge paper that shows that you get a Purple Heart. You get some orders. So, for instance, I've got Tommy Tucker's parents to give me his orders and enrolled him in the Purple Heart Hall of Honor. So we'd be delighted to do that, and I think since we're in Lakeview, we'll ask Charlie to help me do that. So if you give us Jessica's papers that have the Purple Heart, we can do that. I can show you a picture of what it looks like. I think I'm done, but it's been my personal privilege to help 4 Gold Star families with these highway signs, and in Bend and Madras and Mount Lakeview. And so we've got Tom Tucker's sign planted. Todd put it in last Tuesday. We're going to do Jessica's today, and then we're going to do Randy Newman's and Justin Wilkins week after next possibly. But I'd like to thank our friends from ODOT for doing such a great job, being such a great partner with veterans. It's been a true historic. ODOT always gets criticized for potholes and things like that, but you get guys like Todd LaFrance and Jared who want to help honor veterans. We're just delighted. Thank you very much. And I'd like to thank our dear friend Charlie who helped us with the role.
Thank you very much. Let's give Dick a great big hand. And now we have House District 56 Representative E. Warner Reski.
I want to thank everyone for coming out today, and it's an honor to be here. I know it's getting late, and I know what you're thinking, because I'm thinking the same thing. Oh, great, another politician. So, I will be short as I can. The prophet Isaiah said, "The grass withers and the flower fades, but the word of God, it stands forever." And while compared to eternity, our life is short. It matters. It matters a lot. And Jessica showed us that. As I get older, something happens to me. My mom and dad, they get smarter. They drilled into me when I was young. Know why you're doing what you're doing. Know who you are. And while I didn't heed that advice all my life, I'm learning that that's real important, because we don't know how long life is for any one of us. So know what you're doing and why you're doing it. I'm a purpose-driven person, individual. And so coming over here today, I have 2 questions in my mind. The first is, why are we doing this today? And some of that has been answered already. The other question I have is, why did Jessica Ellis have to die? To answer those questions, I'm going to read a poem. Listen, my children, and you shall hear of the midnight ride of Paul Revere. On the 18th of April in 75, hardly a man is now alive who remembers that famous day and famous year. Paul Revere is one of the most famous founders of our nation. We all know that he's known for yelling, "The British are coming, the British are coming." But that wasn't always the case. Nobody knew about Paul Revere until 1860, almost 100 years after the Revolution. It's because of a poet named Henry Chatsworth Longfellow read his story and said, "Why don't we know about this person, Paul Revere?" And so he wrote a poem, and it was published in the Atlantic Monthly in 1860 at the beginning of the Civil War. And it became famous and reprinted, and children began to recite it and remember it. And now we know who Paul Revere is because of a poem written by somebody almost 100 years later. Why are we here today? We're here to honor the memory, the life, and the service of Jessica Ellis. But I want to challenge the community of Lakeview to do more. We are going to put up a sign. This is great. I think it's a great start. But I would challenge this community to make her a hero. I want to read a quick excerpt from Eric Metaxas's book, If You Can Keep It. One of the reasons I began to write about this book, I realized that by ceasing to tell mythical and heroic stories of our history, we had in fact lost touch with ourselves. In a way, that would be suicidal if we did not do something about it. After all, if we don't know the stories about America, how can we know America? We are more than political ideas. We are people who live out those ideas in common. Knowing those ideas is a vital first step, but part how we know them is knowing how they came into being and how they were subsequently lived out in history. So by pushing away stories of our heroes, we have allowed ourselves to be drained of our very common identity as Americans. Our emotions must be engaged in keeping the Republic as our minds are engaged. It is the real stories of heroes like Washington and Nathan Hale, and I'll add Jessica Ellis, that help keep us properly feel the power of the ideas behind them. We must feel the horror of tyranny and love the noble idea of liberty. We must love America. So Lakeview, Lake County, I challenge you to think about that. Let's have a Jessica Ellis Day. Let's put Jessica Ellis in our curriculum in school so that everybody that goes through this community knows who she was, what she stood for, and why we should aspire to be like her. Was she perfect? No. But she should be a hero. She gave everything so that we can be here today. An IED blew up over there so it doesn't blow up in this part. And we have the men and women in service to thank for that. I'm going to read House Resolution 27. This was passed on the House floor in late April and on the Senate as well, unanimously. That does not happen very often. Whereas Corporal Jessica A. Ellis was born in Burley, Idaho on June 26, 1983 to Steve and Linda Ellis. And whereas because of her father's career required the family to move frequently, Corporal Jessica A. Ellis and her brother and sister, Cameron and Amanda, lived in various parts of the country while growing up. And whereas in 1997, Corporal Jessica A. Ellis moved with her family to Lakeview, Oregon. And whereas Corporal Jessica A. Ellis graduated in 2002 from Lakeview High School, where she had competed in cross country, swimming, and track, and later earned an Associates of Art degree at Central Oregon Community College in Bend. And whereas Corporal Jessica A. Ellis spent her college summers as a United States Forest Service firefighter on the Fremont-Wainema National Forest in Southern Oregon. Whereas Corporal Jessica A. Ellis loved running, fishing, and spending her time with her family and their animals. And whereas Corporal Jessica A. Ellis joined the United States Army in September 2004 and was assigned to the 2nd Brigade Special Troops Battalion, 2nd Brigade Combat Team, 101st Airborne Division Air Assault, based out of Fort Campbell in Kentucky, and was twice deployed as a combat medic in Iraq. And whereas in keeping with her well-deserved reputation for putting the well-being of others before her own, Corporal Jessica A. Ellis earned the Combat Medic Badge during her first tour in Iraq for treating a wounded soldier under direct fire. And whereas Corporal Jessica A. Ellis had courage, competence, friendliness, and dependability, earned her the nickname Doc Ellis from fellow soldiers. And whereas, during her second tour, 3 weeks after surviving a roadside blast that severely damaged her armored vehicle known as a Buffalo, during a road clearing operation, Corporal Jessica A. Ellis volunteered to take another medic's place on a road clearing convoy and was killed in Baghdad, Iraq on May 11th, 2008, when the Buffalo in which she was riding made contact with an improvised explosive device. And whereas all who knew her will remember Corporal Jessica A. Ellis' famously indomitable curls that seemed a symbol of her bright and undauntable personality, but even more will they remember her dedication to and deep concern for her fellow soldiers. And whereas Corporal Jessica A. Ellis, in addition to her previous awards, posthumously received the Purple Heart and the Bronze Star and was buried at Arlington National Cemetery. And whereas Corporal Jessica Ellis's father said of her, she gave the largest sacrifice a person could give, selflessly, like she did everything else in life. And whereas Corporal Jessica A. Ellis is survived by her parents, her brother, and her sister, now therefore, be it resolved by the Legislative Assembly of the State of Oregon, we, the members of the 79th Legislative Assembly, recognize and honor Corporal Jessica A. Ellis for her service to this country. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. I'm glad you brought your readers because I did have it blown up for you. And now we have Bobby Steninger. She was a cross-country coach and track coach for Jessica. Is Bobby here? She is.
Several of them. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Oh, good. I can't hear myself. Several of the members of our current cross-country team came here to honor Jessica today, and I want to thank them for coming. They run in Jessica's shadow. Jessica was a core of teams that she was a part of. Her ever-present smile drew others to her like a magnet. Never did she show displeasure at the workout that was presented, but instead, it was let's get her done attitude that made coaching for me a pleasure. She was always thinking of others and made them feel like a winner regardless of placing. Her love for Cottonwood Meadows, where we had our camp each fall, was always evident. The location of the sign is a peaceful place that reminds me of camp and her devotion to the team bonding that we strive to achieve there. Lakeview High School has a display about Jessica Ellis and also gives an award in her name to the student who most likely shows the traits that were the hallmark of this outstanding young lady. Should any wish to donate to this award, they can do so at the high school outlet. Her spirit is always with us, leading us the way to success in both our lives, in and out of the sports world. As her father said, she's Lakeview's child, and I believe her mark on this community will live on. I asked members of Lakeview's, of the team that Jessica was on, to write a few words about Jessica, and I'd like to share them with you now. I had the honor of running with Jessica on the cross-country team. She was a quiet but strong presence of the team, always with a huge smile and an energy and attitude to help support if anyone needed anything. She was the first one to be there, and always with a fat smile. She would run hard, encourage all runners on the course, and then finish only to continue cheering on her teammates until the race was over. I remember always feeling happy about Jessica, and her joy bubbled over to the people around her, and her genuine care for others was contagious. She had a joyous spirit and a generous heart, and I'm so grateful she was in my life. Emily Park. Jessica was never one to show competitiveness, but she was quiet, powerful, and a constant force in her cross-country team. She worked so hard every step of every run. Her strong breathing, her focus, her consistency were ever present. She had the character it took to always be driven to run her hardest. I will always admire her for her tenacity and for her ability to turn the world around her and its the world around her and its expectations for her, and run, live, and relate to others with her own spirit and focus. Noel Richards. Our high school class was a close-knit small group of distance runners that competed in cross-country and track throughout our entire high school career. We're a mini family. Jessica was the integral part of this family. We shared many days in the pounding heat and the bitter cold, pushing fellow teammates and ourselves beyond our personal limits of endurance. Jessica was always there, day in and day out, naturally exhibiting the great qualities of being her perfect teammate. She was always the hardest worker on our teams. Her work ethic continually served as an inspiration to us all. She never complained. She never cut corners or slacked off. She just simply gave it her all and did her very best. Her work ethic and attitude was a testament to the rest of us and pushed us all to achieve more as individuals and a team. Jessica gave her all each day, whether it was in practice or during the meet, not just for herself, but for the rest of us. She did all of this with an incredible smile and an unmatched positive attitude. It was and always will be an honor to have shared our short time together running cross country and track. Jessica was a consummate teammate. Josh Harlan. I want to add a little bit about each. If you're a teacher or a coach, you probably already know that every class, every group is different. They all have their own chemistry. And the chemistry that Josh was just talking about, there's a picture I brought her yearbook here, and I have it open to that picture, and you'll see a group of girls smiling with roses in their hand. The boys on that team told the girls, unbeknownst to me, I knew nothing about it, that they were to bring a dress to the district meet. On our way to the meet, Josh came up to me and said, Bobby, we have to go someplace where they sell flowers. And I'm looking at him and wondering what's going on. But I trust our kids, and we found a place, and the boys jumped off, telling the girls to stay put, and they came back with packages. I want to remind you that none of these group of people were partners of any kind other than as a team. When we went to dinner that night, they told the girls to wear the dress. I didn't know anything about this. Here I am on blue jeans and all those fitting dresses. The boys met the girls at the bus in suits and ties and escorted each girl onto the bus and presented them the flower. And that's what you see in that picture in the yearbook. We honor today one of Lakeview's finest. A memorial sign is just a reminder to us of all the dedication she gave us, our community, and our country. She gave it all. Thank you.
Lake County Commissioner Dan Schown and Chair. Please come up. Will the Ellis family please stand up?
Before I actually start with what we're going to do here in just a minute, Charlie, a little bit ago, it seems like quite a while ago, thanked an awful lot of folks for this day, and rightly so. But I just want to give a special, huge thanks to this gentleman right here. And with that, the Board of Commissioners representing the citizens of Lake County, as well as Charlie and the veterans of Lake County, we wanted to ensure that the sign that's going to be placed later, there is a cost to it, and that cost was covered. So on behalf of the citizens of Lake County and our veterans, I'd like to present this to Steve and Linda Ellis.
Now can I have Dick Tobiason, myself, and the Ellis family please stand and come, and we're going to unveil the sign.
Could I ask Todd and Jared to come down, please?
During the unveiling, we'll have a moment of silence.
Charlie, come on over here. Okay, your job is to pick up this corner and put it over the top.
Okay, tell us when. Good.
Go for it. All right.
Honor guard, left, hey! And salute! Right, two! Right, hey! Shoot.
That was Wings by John Pearson. And now we have the Ellis family.
It's a nice, wonderful, we're back in Lake County. And, what a wonderful, wonderful sign. You know, one thing I'd like to share with you about this sign, and that Bobby didn't tell you, is in the location of the sign, the cross-country and track team helped participate in the location. And I had called Bobby, and I told her the family wanted the input of the cross-country and track team, and we were provided that input. And then I was down here a few months ago and took a ride out there with Bobby, Commissioners Winters and Commissioner Sound, and we picked out the proposed location. I went back to our home on the west side and The good news is we went out there this morning with Linda and Mandy, and they liked the spot. So it's a beautiful spot, and you know, we are honored to have this memorial sign in Lake County. She really was Lakeview's child, and this is where it should be. She liked this park. She loved the pool. She loved this community. We had 7 wonderful years here. It always feels good to come back to Lake County. We talked about that on our way down. When I was working back in Washington here the last, I guess 4 years, one of the Marine veterans that I worked with came to my office once and he said, Steve, there is nothing as sacred as a medic on the battlefield. Nothing is sacred as a medic on the battlefield. And so one of the things when we drove down here, Lynn and I and Mandy thought, well, what should we say today? And we thought that we would maybe give you a little bit of a perspective of Jessica through the lens of what she called her battle buddies. And so, you know, we've heard a little bit about Jessica. She was in the 101st Airborne Division, a very storied division. Dates back, they jumped into Normandy in World War II, fought World War II, Korea, Vietnam, Iraq, Afghanistan, the Kosovo, you know, conflicts there. And so we remember when Jessica called us, she was at combat medic school down in Fort Sam Houston in Texas. And Bobby, where's Bobby? She had the second highest fitness score in the company. And so she called us on the phone. We were in Baker at the time, and she said, Dad, they want me to go in one of the 2 airborne divisions. There was 101st and 82nd Airborne Division, and they're all volunteer. And because I had this high fitness score, what do you think? And so we're like, well, what do you think, Jessica? What do you think? And so she told us a couple days later she was going to be a Screaming Eagle. She's going to be a member of the famed 101st Airborne Division. She did serve. She was killed 5 months into her second tour of Iraq. On her first tour of Iraq, as the resolution indicated, she earned the combat medic badge on her first tour of Iraq. And when she was home on leave in Baker, we were sitting out on the back deck, and she told me about that and how you know, they got hit. One of her buddies was hit in the face. She dismounted her armored vehicle, and she said, I was treating him on the street. This was in Southwest Baghdad. I was treating him on the street, and she said they were shooting at me with AKs, and she said these bullets, these AKs, and she said they were bad shots, Dad. And she said they were bad shots, and I was patching up his face, and that's Dick. That's the story she told me that day in Baker. Also, on her being injured about 3 weeks before, that is true. They were out on a mission. They were hit. The Buffalo armored vehicle, which she was riding in, burned. Her aid bag burned. They all got out. She suffered burns, and when she called Lynn and I on the phone, she said, I got my bell rung, Dad, I got my bell rung. And that was about 3 weeks before she was killed. But when she was over there, she was assigned primarily to the combat engineers, Alpha Company, combat engineers, 101st Airborne Division, and they went out on what we learned later were very, very dangerous missions, route clearance. Basically, I don't know if you saw the movie Hurt Locker, but their job, she was the medic that went along with them on these route clearance missions, and apparently they were hit quite often. And again, it was not till later to her colonel told us just how dangerous these missions were. Mostly at night is when they went out, and when we lost her, that was a Mother's Day night mission. It was after dark when they got hit that night at Northwest Baghdad. But anyway, a few things about her through the lens of their soldiers, and I brought a few of the emails. Lynn and I went to Fort Campbell, Kentucky when her unit returned on the second tour. January 2009, and the Army, they were so nice, they allowed us to meet with her buddies that she worked closely with in the 2nd Brigade Combat Team, and we were there for I think a full day and talking to them, and they talked a lot about her, so I captured some of those things, and I'm not going to bore you reading all these emails, but I did highlight some things last night that I thought I might share, and I think there's some threads here that we've heard. The resolution, and also from some of the others, some of you that knew Jessica here, and So Captain Brian Tritton, commander of Alpha Company's 2nd Brigade Combat Team, from an email that he sent to Linda and I, she was a talented and versatile medic that could do it all. Our platoon conducted rock clearance missions. She was always there with us. She always did rotations. Also at River Ridge Clinic, there was a clinic there where they, soldiers get sick too, and so she did her time at the River Ridge Clinic. But she liked to be out with her buddies, and she said, if I'm not out with my buddies outside the wire, I'm letting them down. I think Dick talked about that. I'm letting my buddies down. So she really felt that. He said it is knowing that we have strong, competent medics like Ellis that keeps us going. She was a warrior that showed up every mission with a smile on her face, no matter what time of day or night it was. She never asked for any praise or credit for her work. That was Jessica. As Linda told me one day, Jessie didn't want a big deal made of her. That was Jessie, was it not, Linda? Oh, was it not? And she was a true hero and a friend to all of us, and that was her captain. From one of the master sergeants, Jess was a combat medic. She was good at her job. You could always tell she cared about everyone. She risked her life to do the right thing. She always went where she was needed, did what she could. Doc Ellis is what we called her, and you have to earn that title. There are medics that go through their whole military career and never get called that. So that's something that comes from her buddies. It's nothing that you do things on a checklist and get that title. They talked to her about a Christmas night when she treated an Iraqi. There was a wounded Iraqi along the road, and they stopped, and she dismounted the buffalo and treated that Iraqi. So anyway, the common thread that we see here is that, as another email says, she truly touched many people's and lives with her kindness, generosity. She was a heck of a medic, and a lot of soldiers respected her greatly for that. She will truly be missed by all her soldiers. And there's a poem that Specialist Lindsay, another medic, wrote about her, and I noticed in that poem she talks about the smile on her face, her wild hair. She talked about she did anything asked of her and never complained. She strived to do the best she could, displaying the signs of a saint. She was truly one of a kind and sorely missed. So these were things that her buddies said about her. She was the morale of the unit, as the colonel said after we lost her. So Jessica, she rests peacefully now under some large oak trees in the rolling hills of Arlington County, Virginia. And some of you have been back there. Mr. Sound was back there and visited that spot. A little quiet corner of very nation's most hallowed ground in Section 60 of Arlington National Cemetery, where valor rests. So she did give the largest sacrifice a person could, selflessly, like she did everything else in her life.
I'm not a public speaker, but I just wanted to say a couple things, and one is that we have been truly blessed to raise this child. She was a blessing from the moment she came into our lives. She was taking us from us way too soon. It was Mother's Day, so I will forever view Mother's Day with difficulty. But God needed her home. She has work to do up there, and I believe she's very, very busy up there. She's watching over the family, all the grandkids, her soldiers, everybody she ever knew. She's watching over, and as a medical professional, my patients have known the journey, most of them, and several of them in their dying days have said to me, "I'm going to meet your daughter. She's waiting for me up there," and I believe she's very, very busy up there. But one thing that was said this morning that I felt like normally I don't comment, but I felt like I needed to comment on is that the challenge for Lakeview to make her or consider her a hero, well, I feel that Lakeview has already done that. I feel that's something you can pat yourselves on the back for already. She was Lakeview's child. Everybody here embraced her, loved her. She gave back, and you all gave to her, and you all helped raise my daughter. So I wanted to thank all of you for helping me raise my daughter into the person she was. She left this huge legacy that we are amazed to continually find out how many people she touched in her life and even in her death. I am also blessed to have a daughter and son who remain with me and support me and love me in addition to their dad. I have 5 small grandchildren that are blessings. So it is a moment of celebration for her, and for all of our lives that knew her, that she touched. So thank you everybody for coming.
Before we retire the colors, I'd like to have CDMA 296 please stand. This is a motorcycle group, Combat Veterans Motorcycle Association out of Klamath Falls, and I am the first one in Lake County. These guys here are going to escort this sign all the way over to where it gets posted. What we'll do is we'll have them eat first after we retire the colors, so that way they get something in their stomach. And then you can come up here, we'll take some pictures, give it maybe 15 minutes to half an hour max, and the sign will leave. It's very dangerous out there where these guys are going to be putting the signs out. So if you do want to go out and watch it be installed, please be careful. Stay off the road. People are going very fast on that road, and we don't want anybody hurt. Todd, he's our main man there, and he will be bringing that sign, and he's the one that told us what it's like out there. Nobody needs to get hurt. He said it'd take about maybe a couple hours. So I would say enjoy a few free hamburgers and hot dogs. Yes, that's what I said. But there's somebody that's going around with a ammo can, and it's for the highway memorial signs. It's not free. We don't feel that the parents of the fallen loved one should have to ever pay for a sign. So if you're jumping up and down and you have that little bit of change in your pocket, and you want to get rid of it, just get rid of it inside that can. That would be greatly appreciated. And it will go to the Bend Heroes Foundation to have more signs made for these fallen soldiers. Is there anything else, Dick, that you want to bring up?
There was one poster we didn't get to show, Charlie, and Steve quoted it, but this is one of the favorite pictures here. Steve showed it to me years ago. It's a quote that you heard. She was a warrior that showed up to every mission with a smile on her face, no matter what time of night or day it was.
Thank you very much.
I'd personally like to thank my friend Charlie for helping organize this thing, leading it, and he's also an Iraq veteran, so he knows exactly.
Thank you very much.
Served there. So thank you very much.
Retiring the colors.
VFW Post 4070, 10, hut, left, hey, forward, march, right, hey, left, hey, right, turn. Read the color. About face. Right face. Forward march. Left turn march.
And this concludes the Fallen Hero Memorial Highway sign for honoring Army Corporal Jessica A. Ellis. Thank you very much for coming out.